How's that?
That's better.
Still looked like it was on before. Welcome to our City Council work session. It's Tuesday, October 3rd. It's 5:30 p.m. We are ready to go. First meeting of the council in these council chambers. We are so glad to have each of you here. So I'm going to disperse roll call. We're all present. And I'd like to ask anyone if they would lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance.
Republic for which it stands.
Thank you. I would also like to ask if someone would like to offer an invocation or give an inspirational thought. Like to get right underway, and one of the funnest things that happens to this city every year is get a new royalty, and it's been fun over the last couple of weeks to have attended that, to see the hard work, the many people that had volunteered and been a part of that, and the new royalty, and to be able to start to get to know them a little bit. Having them attended to a grand opening with McDonald's was a big deal, but not as big as the mountain bike park. I think there were more people at the mountain bike park than there were at McDonald's, but strike that from the record, please. Don't put that in. We love our businesses, but I am so proud of the talents that these young ladies have, the knowledge they have, the caring, and the beauty. And it was just fun to be a spectator. And, I kind of thought, man, it's going to be hard to fill the shoes of this past royalty that we had. And those shoes you have on are pretty tight, but they fit. There's a lot of good ahead. So with that, Keela, are you going to introduce? And I think that would be very fitting. Oh, of course you do, and you have to give us your name, rank, and serial number.
You'll push the green button there to turn it on, or the on button. That would be.
Yeah.
Oh, it's green. It's really green. I think you saw the light green.
I saw the light, and then I really saw the light. I know, yeah.
It looks really green now. My name is Keela Gowdy. My title in introducing these young women, I am one of the 3 directors. We went from 4 to 3. One of the 3 directors for the Miss Santaquin pageant. And before I introduce these girls, I just, too, want to say thank you to your support in pageant and all that you do to help make it a success. A lot of, like the mayor said, lots of hard work. Nobody knows, and each of us are in our own individual aspects and things that we're involved in, but just like any of those, the Miss Santaquin pageant, no one knows the hard work that goes into it until you're behind the scenes and you see it. We really do work hard, and we really feel like we put on a great pageant. We would hold our pageant up against any pageant in the state. We are very, very happy with how it operates. And with that being said, we are very proud this year. Oh, and let me introduce Shelby Duell, too. She is one of the directors. We thought Briley Pace would be here, but something's probably come up. But Shelby Duell is another one of our directors. But with that being said, let me proudly introduce to you two of our royalty members today. Chloe Crabb, stand up, please. She's our Miss Santaquin 2023, and her first attendant, Lydia Payne. And we are so proud of these girls. And the talent this year was phenomenal. I just don't know how the judges made the decision, but we're sure darn pleased with who they chose, because we're very happy with these girls. So anything else I need to say?
Miss Newberry is
Yes.
attending
and I
school,
should've-
I think, in
didn't-
St.
I didn't-
George,
I
isn't
was
she?
going to let Chloe take care of that.
Oh, okay. Yeah, we can do that. But it's just fun to have them here, and we would like to have them take a minute, if
Okay.
that's okay.
All right.
Thank you,
Thank
Keela,
you.
and thank you to this committee for all the good that you do.
We have a great committee. We really, really do.
Thank you.
So in case you don't know me, I'm Chloe Crabb, and a few little things about me. I love traveling, and I'm a crazy cat lady. And I have 3 older brothers that you might know potentially. And I'm really grateful that I got to be a part of this pageant. It really was an amazing experience where I got to learn so much about myself and a lot of where my values are, and I gained so much confidence. And I'm really grateful that you guys can put on the pageant and you can donate and give the scholarships and whatnot. I'm really excited for this year. And one of my favorite things is getting to know everyone so far. Like, even just getting to know you guys at the bike park and McDonald's, it's been wonderful. So thank you for that. I'm sorry that Braylon couldn't be here today. She's my second attendant. She's away at school, so it was kind of a long drive, and she didn't want to drive in the dark, so I don't blame her. I'm not very good at driving in the dark. But this is my attendant, Lydia, and I'm really excited that we get to work together, the 3 of us, and it's going to be an amazing year, so thank you.
Thank you. Ms. Payne?
Good job. Sorry, I should have clapped. My name is Lydia Payne. I am currently a freshman over at UVU. I'm in their pre-nursing program. I am very passionate about helping people, and I think that nursing is my calling to do that. So that is something that I am very passionate about and I'm so excited to do. I'd also like to thank you guys for donating to the pageant as well, and to help us with this opportunity to serve the community and really get to know the community on a deeper level. Some fun facts about me: I also love to dance, not as gracefully, but I do love to dance, and that is a little bit about me. So,
I forgot to tell you about my platform, which is kind of the main thing. So my platform is pushing past the limits. 1% is all you need. I really want our community to be able to learn how to create healthy habits and how to have a positive mindset. It's something not one age can work on. Every single person in our community, including myself, can. And I plan on using this in elementary schools. I would really love to go in and focus on a certain grade or classroom and really teach them a lot about gratitude, affirmations, and kindness. I believe that those are 3 really important things that can help make our generation a lot kinder and just overall empower them and empower our community.
This is great.
Thank you.
Thank you both. I appreciate you being here. The whole council does as well. No, I don't usually ask for this, but I would really like a picture.
I was going to ask you guys
Just-
for one after, so.
No,
would be
let's do it
great.
now. In fact, you know what? I think the first picture in this room, the whole council ought to be standing behind you, and right up in front right here with us. And we'll walk around and be there.
Thank you.
Jason, do you or Norm have a phone?
We'll move. You're the official.
So much. Yes.
Well, the rest of it is going to be and we probably won't go through a whole lot of things. If you want to, more than welcome. Love to have you here. But we wanted, more than anything, we wanted to thank you for being here.
For having us today.
Oh, thank you. We'll see you again quite often. With that in mind, we had that ribbon cutting at the bike park Saturday. I thought was incredible. I rode my bike a little bit. Work. I just can't imagine. I'm sure people didn't keep walking around me, but I am sure there were a couple of hundred people that were there through the first few hours of this. I think it was a success. Have those wedges. That's a reminder of a success where we don't have to spend a lot, but yet we have an opportunity to look at something. So next on the agenda is a skills park design for the bikes. And John Bradley has some information to share with us, and we need to discuss this a little bit and see where we can take it.
Have Norm pull that up. As you know, we worked with some funding from Utah County Municipal Recreation Grant to pay for this design work. And our consultant is American Ramp Company. And they came out and they met with us and they went on site and they looked at developing the space just east of the parking lot. So those that were there on Saturday, just if you imagine, there was the restroom, and then there's kind of a berm, looks like it's 15 feet tall, but beyond that we have this almost a triangle on its side space all the way up with, yep, right there on the big screen, up against the fence there, that's our property. And so what they're recommending is the yellow is actually the way that you would access to the very top. It's actually sloped from north to south, going downwards. And then as the different amenities, and at the bottom there's a return back up along the parking lot. So everywhere it shows yellow is kind of just that's how you get out and that's how you get back. They've developed for us 3 potential items. The green is more of a kids area with really easy to utilize amenities. The blue is more intermediate, uses a lot of the space. There's kind of a ravine that's natural right there. And then the black actually is more of the advance. And if you look on the right there, it shows examples of some of the technical pieces. So instead of just a dirt course where you're digging holes and berms and so forth, what they're recommending is different pieces that go with the dirt. And so it's not concrete or pavement. It's natural dirt mixed with these technical wood pieces. The berm turn, you can see there's actually wood with metal behind it where your bike's right up the side of it. They've got different wooden jumps just right below that. And then there's some different curved wall rides, etc. And so as you can imagine, this is something that would be a little bit more complicated than we could construct, a little bit more technical. When you add the dirt berms to in conjunction with the wood, it's compacted and really built so that it's easier to maintain for long term, because you're going to get weather and so forth up there, obviously year round. But the exciting thing with this is just everyone that we've shown this to, with our ad hoc committee and administration, staff, a lot of our volunteers, no one said, there's something that I don't like there. It's been pretty exciting that everyone's like, wow, that's even greater than we thought. We just thought, well, maybe there's a jump here or jump there. So a quick history of Skills Park in Utah is a few years ago, St. George actually built the first one, and it was so popular that a lot of cities started to say, wow, we want to do something like this. It's a great place for bicycles of all, again, different age groups and abilities. Since then, the one that's most recently built was up in Bluffdale this last year, and they're currently building one in West Valley City. So there's a variety throughout the state. This comes with a price tag. It comes with the price tag of $210,000. But something that's really exciting is this is eligible for that outdoor recreation grant that we applied for and received a couple years ago for the trails. 50% of that we could apply in the spring for that money. So if the city was willing to contribute 50% of it, so $105,000, I'm very confident that we could get the other $105 matched with the State of Utah Outdoor Recreation Grant, and be able to have something that is not only exciting for the residents to go up to, but would be a magnet to bring people. Again, they're already here. Mayor mentioned it. A lot of people from out of town already up there, but now to add one more amenity that's not just the long-term bikes, but also, things for kids can do it, youth, adults, so forth. So let me go ahead and open things up to questions. Any questions or thoughts, comments up to this point?
How many months of the year would it be usable?
I'll use St. George as an example. So St. George opens theirs, and just because theirs has been open the longest, so when we have conferences in St. George, they usually will take a field trip and we'll see it. It's open year-round. They just put signs up on days that are bad. Or if obviously, St. George has more sun than we do, but we're obviously going to have the same challenges we have with the rest of the trail. Right now, we put up signs that just say when it's bad weather, don't use the course.
Roughly maybe
I want to disagree, though, with that.
7 or 8
and
months?
that is, it's all on south-facing slopes. And so the snow doesn't stay anywhere near that it does on the south side. So it could be open maybe, on an average year, maybe 9.5, even 10 months out of the year. You could be on it in February. You could be on it the end of November. But probably December, January, it's a no-go, but there's enough to this. As long as they remember, if it's a bad day, it's a bad day, don't get on it. It's usable for a long time. And we already have a lot of people that are talking about fat tire bikes as And I have videos of fat tire bikes riding it last year when we
Betsy mentioned to me that it would be muddy though. That'd be good.
Yeah. It really needs to be posted. We post it right. I think it would be fine. Most people are pretty cognizant of when they can get on it. So,
I think that signage is our best bet with liability. Seeing what other cities have done too is just where it can't necessarily be fenced or locked up, but just you put signs up during the rainy season and just when it's wet or muddy, don't use type thing. Would be. That is correct.
Can you make sure you got your microphones turned on and are you close to them?
We're getting some amenities up there that are valuable. Add to, we have got to figure out a way to get camera system or something, because there's a lot of time up there when damage could be done, serious damage. I think we've already seen that with the restroom. We need to figure that out with that. I think we need to add some money if we decide to do this to make sure we've got some kind of camera system. I don't know what that would be, but there's just a lot of potential for lots of dollars in damage.
one thing we were trying to do, Rod and I had made tentative arrangements to go work with county sheriff so that Santaquin could actually make that part of our police beat. We could send a car or two up through the day. That will deter a lot. And we would also have authority, or our police would have authority to arrest, which at this point, we really don't, but we would and hold them over till the county got there. And so I need to follow up with that. Rod was ready to go. We were shooting for the first of this month, so we should get it done. That would help.
As a note on that, sorry, go ahead. Yeah, as a note, we've actually, as staff and directors, have been talking for about a year to get cameras at most of our facilities. The budget's not set up for that just yet, but we do have a couple of facilities where we are planning and are budgeted for cameras this year. Harvest View Park is one that we're working on to get fiber over there, and the cameras installed probably in the next few months to get that done. One of the challenges with this park is that there's no power up there, and so we would have to do it with maybe something like trail cams or something of that nature, but we can, or a cell signal of some sort. We will certainly look into that and continue to do that as we move forward, but that's actually a concern. I've shared some emails with staff that from other cities that have basically said, hey, what works? And cameras are about the only thing that really does a good bit of work for you, although it doesn't solve all the issues. It can certainly give us something to go back and look on, and we are looking at that citywide for all of our facilities as far as parks, especially WRF, water reclamation, the public works, those kinds of facilities are all on the plan to get there, but not all budgeted for this year.
There's solar too.
Yeah.
Of course, up there may not be sun all day, but
Yeah.
they can store. And the other thing, this is going to be so popular that you've seen what lights have done in our soccer fields. We've got to figure out too at some point lights for that park. Like you said, there's no power, but
Right.
we've got to have that in the future.
And do solar lights.
They're really quite good.
Dark up there at 5 o'clock, so lighting in November. Then they need to have lighting, so we need to look at that.
And again, those are all eligible costs that we can use. RAP tax funds, we can use park impact fees for. There's lots of different things that we can do there as far as improving this park and others.
Yes, I agree with Lynn. I think we can't afford not to include security features of the facilities that we already have, but for any new projects to include
We're,
scenery
we're,
features.
we are moving in that direction, so.
One additional thing that I've already looked into, and not clear, but some of these things that we are doing up there can be insured. I'll plan on taking one of our someone from the trust to go up there. They can't. I don't think they necessarily insure trails because there's so much that can happen with them. But things like the bridge, the restrooms, things like that. This park continues to be built out that way. I plan to take somebody from there to really go up and help us understand what assets can be insured, and then have something there to kind of help us in the event that vandalism happens.
That's a good idea, and I would imagine that investing in security features
Any other thoughts with it, John? Are there bits and pieces from some of your conferences you've attended that have put us in a good light to do this? Are we missing anything? Have we built it fast enough? Are we too slow? What's going on?
You know, it seems from going to other communities, because of this new outdoor recreation funding source that the state has, we're talking millions of dollars a year that they're pouring into Utah, and they're doing it and not just to get people outside, which is good. It's a good purpose, but also economic development for communities in all counties throughout the state. But because of that, we're seeing every city jumping on track, from pump tracks to bike skills parks to developing trails and all those different things. So it's timely, what we're seeing happen. And I think with the excitement up the canyon, we're still running into people saying, oh, I didn't know that's up there and it's so amazing. And I just think this would be a feather in our cap on bringing people to Santaquin. And then, of course, more things that are not sports driven, because we have great sports fields, but being able to add some things that are, diversity and so forth. So I think we're heading the right direction on that. This could be all ages, correct, because of the different levels. And then the other thing that I forgot to mention is there's a little purple dot, pink, purple, an area that they would leave available for kind of a pavilion. We could add a little pavilion for shade so people could kind of actually watch and view. St. George has done that by theirs. It's kind of nice. People sit there, and parents might do that while they're watching. The other thing that's kind of cool, just at the very bottom, is it's kind of down by our sign, but it actually weaves through a grove of trees that are existing. So leaving those trees and actually just cutting a couple here and there, kind of a tunnel through there. But Councilman Hathaway. Is more so having them done professionally versus us trying to homemade build them. If we were to try to do any of this, I think it would be easier for us. I'm guessing more at the dirt work, but any of the technical, as far as liability, trying to build any of those structures out of wood and metal, there's a lot of things that are not just straight cuts and so forth. I would be a little hesitant.
What
So
does
just curious on that then. So if we was to resource that out, how much what would the cost increase be?
Or how much money could we save? The total cost is $210,000 for them to come in and actually build the whole thing. Yeah.
Okay.
So if we were to try to, that might be an option too for us to try to do some of the legwork on moving dirt or something to cut the cost a little bit. The reality is if we can commit in the fall this year, they can get us on the schedule for spring to early summer next year. And this thing could be literally up by summer next year.
technical nature, I would be more comfortable with having the whole thing done by this company under one contract instead of trying to piecemeal it out. Especially if we can get a grant for half and there's money in park impact fees. I think if we're going to do it, it needs to be done right the first time.
As of the moment right now, we have, in the budget, we have sufficient funds to be able to cover a half of this if we decided to do that. Probably cameras and maybe some lights or something of that nature within our current budget right now. We would be able to cover that in this budget year. We would have to do just a line item budget amendment, but there are currently sufficient funds anticipated just from this year that could help take care of that. Not a large excess, but about $100,000+ we could put towards that just from the impact fees from this year. And then we still have a reserve of impact fees that are already allocated for, like Orchard Hills lights, trails, other things that have to go into the budget to tell you all that detail.
So, John, so the 200, is that the cost they're given, they gave to build that, all of that?
Yes,
So without any help from like our Public Works?
correct. That would be them 100% coming in and doing the whole project.
That the trust would feel much more comfortable ensuring it if it's done by licensed professionals.
Yeah, I'm not sure on that. I know usually
Well, if you take a playground, for example, if you don't have the manufacturer of the playground install it, then it voids the warranty and it can't be insured.
We'll look into that with the trust and make sure that we know where that's at. And again, lights and security and safety, those are all things that we can look at. At this point in time, this is what the company has brought to us, and we can certainly look at doing some of those similar lights up there for the solar lights. I'm sure that we can find those somewhere and put some, we'll probably find some long power poles that we could use from somewhere to help with that.
Well, I think it's a great idea. I think it would be a very well-used amenity and a lot of fun. I mean, my grandbaby's just a few months old, and I already picture myself getting him a bicycle, like one of those little push bikes for preschool kids, and taking him up there. I think it would just be a lot of fun, and people would enjoy it.
One of the things I wanted to just make note is because we were successful 2 years ago for the $60,000 grant and seeing what we've been able to do and follow through and build, I have no doubt that we can have success in the grant process. I'm not on the selection committee, but just noting what we've done with what they've given us in the past, I think we'd be in a really good position to apply for that. So.
I think it's probably the other way around. I think, so this is just a work session. We're not asking for any action now, but likely what we would do is bring their formal contract back to you at the next meeting and say, we authorize half of it, and then we can go for the grant funding, which I think is due in November, January.
About February is when
Okay.
they apply, so it's a spring grant.
Yeah, so we would show that we're committing our funds to it, or half of our funds to it, and then try and leverage those through their grant funds. I think so. It's a little bit backwards of what you were saying, but essentially the same thing. We're just trying to figure out, again, is this where we want to go? Is this where we want to put some funds? The park impact fees, again, we've got it budgeted this year where we could do it and just make it work for half of that. Now, the other stuff, the cameras and the lights would bump that a little bit, but we can certainly put that package together and apply for that for the entire grant to, let's say it's 250,000 instead of 210. We would just still do a 50-50 of some sort and say we're going to put in 125 and we'd ask for 125, whatever that might look like.
What's the timeline on the grant? When does that grant open again? If we need to make a commitment to the company this fall.
I want to say it's in February, and the funds are usually, I think we found out like early May. So as far as the build, it would have to be, late spring, early summer, so that all falls into place as far as the money. Correct. If we were to sign a contract in the future, that would get us on the list. They're actually on some of their projects. They're starting to hit more on their concrete projects. We're talking 2 years out, and so this where it's dirt and things like that, they're able to move that up. I don't think so.
We can bring those details back to you at the next meeting, and that way we can act on it at that point in time and commit however you want to commit to it, and then we can take it from there and figure out where we go with the grant and all that kind of stuff. Yeah, we can give you all those details when we come back. Thanks, John.
Appreciate it. So we'll put that on the next work session or next agenda.
We'll put it on the next regular meeting, and we'll.
Yeah.
But, John, if you're
Hey, John.
leaving, may I just say something? I was going to include it in my report, but may I say something quickly now? I would just like to say thanks to John for the work that he put in Saturday on the ribbon cutting of the bike park. He took tables and chairs up there, up the canyon, and set them up and had refreshments and then hauled them all back down. And so thank you for your efforts and working on a Saturday for that. I really appreciate it. Yeah.
I did.
Thanks,
One.
John.
Thanks, John.
Good. Yeah, that's cool. And thanks to all of you for considering all of these things too. This is turning into the real thing. Okay, Ryan, for some reason, we want to talk about a ladder truck.
So, Ryan, I'm going to invite you to sit down and see if the mayor will cede some time for me for a minute so that we can kind of just bring up to speed where we're at and what we've got and kind of what's in the packet, if that's okay, Mayor. You can have Ryan speak first and last, whatever you'd like.
No, go ahead. I'm okay. I just have no way to look at him unless I'm staring at my watch all the time. Can I make a motion that we get a clock in this room?
So, Mayor and Council, I wanted to kind of bring things back around. We had a discussion last meeting about the potential for a fire ladder truck. I wanted to just kind of bring it back around and have a discussion with you and help you understand where we're at, kind of some of the research that we've done with Ryan and myself and meeting with Zion's Bank and some other things. So let me open up one other thing really quick here, and then I can kind of get to where we're going. I apologize. I thought I had it already up. So one of the things that we really need to consider, and I appreciate Lynn bringing this up Councilmember Meekum bringing this up last council meeting, and that is the timing and the building that we need and the bonding and all of those types of things. So what I did was I met with Ryan and grilled him a number of times about details and costs and how much we can save if we do this or if we do that, or how much is the total cost going to be. You'll notice in the packet that the cost of the fire truck is just north of $1.7 million. We have been collecting impact fees for that for multiple years. A ladder truck was actually included in the 2012 public safety impact fee and impact fee analysis. And so since 2012, it's been anticipated that we would get a fire truck. In fact, in the 2012 report, it anticipated that we would get the fire truck in 2018. We're obviously now 5 years past that. It also anticipated that the cost of that truck was going to be more like $700,000, and here we are $1 million more than that. So I just wanted to kind of bring you up to speed on where we're at and what we're doing and where we're going, and also some of the other needs that go into play here as far as public safety, as far as the truck, as far as the building, et cetera. One thing that I did also was that I met with Zion's Bank, and I wanted to provide you with this graph that they provided me of. This is a trend line, a trend of different indices. This is not where current interest rates are at necessarily, but this is the bond buyer index. And there's different matrices here. There's different horizontal lines, and the jagged black line that goes way up and way down is where the bond rates have been over the last 35 years. Okay, and right now what we're standing at is we're looking at, if we were to bond today, which we're not set up to do just yet, but we wanted to investigate with your recommendation, and so I went and looked at this. Right now today we would be north of 5% on a bond, and the bond for this building, for instance, and the water tank that we have, both of those are under 2%. So I don't want to lead you astray to think that we're going to get back to 2% anytime soon, but I did want to bring it to your attention that we are currently in a higher end of the market from where we typically have been, at least over the last, almost 20 years. The bond rate is higher than it has been, other than a couple of spikes over the last 20 years. And so that goes into play with how much money we can borrow and where we're at and what's the right timing. And that's why I put this Gantt chart together, because I wanted to just say, okay, the first thing on here is the ladder truck. Let's suppose that we order a ladder truck and authorize that to happen tonight, okay? Tomorrow, Ryan's going to get on the phone at 7:59 and 59 seconds and say we're ordering the truck, if that's what the council authorizes, okay? But I wanted to show this together with you so that you kind of understand that it's not just a ladder truck and it's not just a fire station, a new fire station, but there's other considerations that we need to look at. One of them is the bond rate right now. We're anticipating that bond rate is going to stay probably north of 5% for some time, depending on what the feds do, right? The Federal Reserve is dictating where that's at right now. We know that the lead time for the truck is 36 to 38 months, and that's why I've got the solid blue line there that goes all the way across, takes us to somewhere around October to December of 2026, which is 3 years from today, okay? And with the delivery somewhere there towards the end of 2026 would be anticipated. Right now, as far as the fire station is concerned, I don't even know how much we need to borrow for the fire station. We're not far enough along with design and the site work to know if we need $4 million or $6 million or $5 million or $7 million. We're just not far enough along with that. So right now, for that aspect of it, doesn't seem like that's the best time to bond because of the interest rates. So what I would recommend is that maybe we look at, we finish out the design. We anticipate that preliminary design would be done somewhere towards the end of this year, first of next year with WPA. They're working on it now. Ryan and I have been working on it in meetings with them over the last couple of months, and things are coming together and it's looking really good. But we're not far enough along to know just how much it's going to cost us or what kind of dollars we're looking at for that station at this point in time. From there, we could look at going to the final design. That's going to be something that's going to be a little more extensive. If you remember, our current contract with WPA is about $37,000 is what we've got in there to do the preliminary design. The final design is likely going to be much north of that, far more than that, because they base that off of what the value of the building is anticipated to be. If it's $5 million and it's a 5%, then it's $250,000, right? So all of those things go into play as far as we getting down that road with the final design. And so maybe what the better thing here is to do is that we push off bonding for a few months or maybe even close to a year and start that bonding process towards the end of next year when we have a more final design, when we have the ability to know what we need, how much we believe it's going to cost, and therefore how much do we need to bond for, okay? And then from there, we can start the construction, and if we have a 2-year window on construction, which is what it took us on this building that we're in now, we figured it would be 12 to 18 months. Because of COVID and shortage of labor and supplies and everything, it took us 2 years almost to the day to get in here. And then that construction of that building, the bonding and everything can happen as it's shown on the Gantt chart here, or somewhere plus or minus. And then we would have the building somewhere complete enough that we could actually accept the truck. Now, if for some reason we don't have the building complete, we still have the ability to take a couple of pieces of equipment out of our current fleet and set them aside, put them in reserve. They're worth, I've had many meetings with the mayor and with Ryan on this, and they're worth far more to us to keep them in reserve than to try and sell them, right? If we have an engine that's worth, $15,000 or $20,000, it's worth far more to us to keep it as a backup. If we have a problem or one of ours gets damaged, you just never know. So that's what's been anticipated with Ryan is, and I concur, and I think the mayor concurs with that as well, is to keep those things in reserve, but maybe we winterize them and they don't need to be in a heated building, right? Then that would make room for the fire truck the ladder truck when we bring it in. The last thing that I want to go over on this, actually have 2 more things. The bottom purple line is something that I want to make sure that we bring to your mind, and that is that the bonding for a new building and the payment for a truck has an effect on budget, and it has an effect on other potential budget items. Right now in Ryan's plan, 2 years from last December, when he gave you the plan that we went through and we looked at the budget and we did a budget amendment and we paid staff more, and which is well deserved. 2 years from then, his plan, and what I've anticipated, not this budget year, but somewhere maybe in the middle of the next budget year, the 24-25 budget year, is when we would need to try and look at how are we going to staff, how are we going to get full-time coverage with part-time staff. That's in Ryan's plan. I would urge you to go back and look at it. The reason that I'm offering that up there is because right now, bonding for a new building, let's say that our building costs us $6 million. I'm just putting a number out there. I don't know exactly what it would be, but I would imagine right now, knowing what we know, it's probably $5 to $7 million for a new building only, not the fire truck. That bond payment is $500,000 to $600,000 a year for 20 years for that building. And impact fees because of the way that the state has got us set up now with having to do that only over a 7 to 10 year period to collect impact fees, and then we re-up it and we re-up it and we re-up it every 5 to 7 years. There's not enough funding coming in from impact fees to pay a $500,000 to $600,000 mortgage payment, lease bond payment for the city hall. And so it would have to be a combination of impact fees and some other revenue. Okay, sales tax, property tax, other things like that. And so I just want to make sure that we're very clear as we go into this bonding that it will have an impact on other things that we also need to do. And so we've got to try and figure that out. Now, fortunately for Santaquin, we're growing and we have some impact fees that come in. We also have businesses that are coming. The mayor has been working fanatically, that's not the right word, frantically about getting businesses here. As you know, he meets with 4 or 5 businesses a month at least, and I'm in on many of those meetings, and we're doing all we can to bring businesses here. We now have a McDonald's, we now have Macy's, we now have, or will have a Murdoch, we'll have an AutoZone. So what I'm projecting is that sales taxes will go up on those businesses over time, but that may be 3 or 4 or 5 years down the road, not 2. So just recognize that as we go through this, we have to be really fiscally responsible. Typically, a building bond is about 20 years, is about the length that you want to go with one. Even with equipment, if we bonded for the fire engine, they typically don't go more than the life of the engine, which is 15 years, the expected life of the engine. Even though we have several engines that are much more than 15 years old, they don't get driven every day. Our guys take fantastic care of them, that kind of thing. Let me bring back to one other point, and that is the current standing that we have with cash that can help us with this fire truck, okay? Right now, the fire department has their special reserve fund that has been set up and has been there for decades. That was, I'm confident that the mayor had a hand in helping to set that up some years ago. Has about $400,000 in the bank right now sitting there that could be used for this engine, okay? We also have about $900,000 in impact fees that are not committed to something else that we could use on that. So if you take that together, we have about $1.3 million in cash that we can pay towards this truck. And let's say that we did that and we needed the other $400,000, we could lease, we could bond, or the other thing that we could do is we could also borrow from ourselves and borrow $400,000 from our reserve funds, which we have, that could, and we've done that before in different funds. We could put, and therefore, I guess what I'm saying is, right now, we don't necessarily need to bond for the truck. We could pay cash if we had to pay for it today. Now, I have to also tell you that I misrepresented, and I apologize. Again, Ryan and I were reading documents as fast as we could right before the last meeting because they just barely came in. But what I was representing to you as a down payment in the previous meeting is not a down payment. It's actually just a penalty if we cancel within 30 days. If we cancel within 30 days, it costs us 10% of the truck. Now, if we order it, they're really, unless the sky falls apart or the planets fall out of alignment or whatever, we're likely not going to cancel the truck, right? So there really isn't any payment due on the truck up front. There's no down payment. There's no cost. We just send them a purchase order. We get it on their books, and they start building when they start building.
Didn't I read that there's a discount, though, if we do prepay something?
There is. There's actually several discounts that they've offered, but and I'll get to that in just a second. And so I'm not sure that that's the way to go either. But let me go back to the cost of the engine. The cost of the engine is $1.7 million plus. Ryan and I have also been working on, or Ryan's been working on, and he showed me a couple of builds, a couple of outfits that have outfitted their trucks with things that they don't come with from the factory. And I think that we're looking probably in today's dollars, we're probably looking $125 to $150,000 outside of the 1.7 million to be able to outfit the truck with hoses and connections and SCBAs and other things that we need to do to be able to jump in that truck and go to work the day that it gets here. Now, we can buy those things over time. Fitting sizes aren't going to change. Hoses aren't going to change. SCBAs, we might wait a little bit on those just because those are a little more timely. They expire, I think, after 7 years. Is that right? 7 to 10 years. So just rounding this whole thing out is there's no down payment on the truck. I don't see a need to bond for it, but this is a policy decision for you guys the council to decide what you want us to do, and we're happy to go and do that. But at this point in time, I'm not sure that bonding right now today is the right aspect or the right way to go about it, because it would really be more for the building than it would be for the truck today. And we actually pay a bond payment or maybe even two before we would even get to start construction on the building at this point in time. And the other thing is that the interest rates will likely go down over the next year or two. Are they going to get back to 2%? I don't anticipate that's going to be the case. But they're certainly going to go down from, I guess certainly is a wrong word. They're likely going to go down from the 5.25%, 5.10 to 5.25% that we're at today. Going to your point, Art, they do offer a discount, but just looking at what we're making right now in our PTIF accounts for interest, we can make more on interest than we can save on prepaying on the truck. We could pay for the whole truck and they give us a little short of 10% off, which is about $169,000, $170,000. On that same 1.3 million that we have in the bank right now today, or if we put the whole thing in the bank, the 1.7, which we have it in the bank anyway, and it's just in different funds. If we keep that money in the bank for say 30 months and we keep the interest rate on it, you could be at a $225,000 instead of interest earned, instead of a $170,000 saved. So about a $50,000 swing if we just keep it in the bank. Now that again makes some assumptions that, you know, the interest rates are going to stay up there a little bit high, which they likely are. And again, the feds are continue to signal that that's what they're going to do. So at least for the interim, in the short term, we're going to continue to see higher interest rates that will help us to make more money on the money than if we invested it and paid for the whole thing. Plus, in talking to the mayor and Ryan, none of us are very comfortable with paying $101.7 million and waiting 3 years for a truck. So that whole aspect of that, I think, is probably the better way to do it, is to keep our money, keep it in the bank. The payment is due at the point in time that we go inspect it at the factory, which means ready or nearly ready to ship, which is, again, 30 to 38 months from now. And that's when the payment is due. So we just keep that money in the bank. So with all of that said, I apologize for the long roundabout way to get there, but I'm happy to answer any questions. If I haven't addressed anything, Ryan or Mayor, I'm happy to go about doing that. But at the end of the day, our recommendation from staff tonight is to authorize us to go ahead and order the truck tomorrow morning at 7:59 and 59 seconds. Because they're already open on the East Coast.
One thing I do want to say is discussions about not knowing that date for the new building. That is, even though it's being shown that by the middle of next year we'll be underway, we'll be ready to go, I'm not there yet. I don't think we're there yet. And we've got a little bit to go. That has to be rolled into Ryan's plan. He will present to us as we progress. Right now, that really isn't a part of this conversation now for the truck. If, in fact, we're going to move ahead with the monies that we don't have to bond for and do this, which I think is a good way to do it.
One other note that I would make is all the funding, except for that $400,000 that could be borrowed from our reserve fund, are dedicated funds. This is what these items, the truck and the building, are what these funds are for. That's what they have to go for. They're dedicated funds towards that, they're restricted funds. And so therefore, it's not like we can go fix roads with them or build a bike park or anything like that. These are restricted funds for these purposes, and that's what we would use them for.
They need to be. Okay.
Just one thing. My feeling is that it's almost like people wanting to put a $100,000 truck onto their mortgage. I'd just as soon not put a bond on a vehicle. Fire truck, whatever you want to call it, right? Because you can end up paying 20 years, basically a truck, or you know what I'm saying? So I think the route we can swing it, let's swing it without the bond.
Here, we keep looking at the building, and
Anyone else? I'd like Ryan to talk.
Tried to get you out of it, Ryan. No, those are professional services, so they don't have to be bid out like a road project or something of that nature. That was somebody that was already qualified, has done plenty of work for us in town, and was able to just move forward with the work. It's the preliminary design. It is not, in fact, you'll notice that on the final design, I don't have anybody on there because we've not gone through that process yet. So at this point in time, it was pretty minimal. It was like I say, $37,000 or $39,000, something of that nature. And because it's professional services, much like engineering, that we don't have to go out to a quote bid on that. For construction, we would. Yeah. Yep.
These are not very capable of picking up. You move past.
They are very directional. If you go like this to the side, it's not going. It is very directional, right onto the mic, and it will pick you up. It picks you up just barely when you were back, but it's because you were directional.
But if I turn and talk to somebody, it's gone.
Yep.
So I'm not sure I like these. But
Okay. That's good feedback. That's good feedback for our audio-visual guy that's in the room.
First off, is there any questions you have regarding the
Heard.
There you go.
It is on, but it's a little short.
No, you're a little tall.
I don't know that I can pull the cord up, so I'll just hold it where I can. Like Norm said, we do have vehicles that are almost 30 years old that we still have in service as reserve. The plan actually showed the Quint, or our current, what we call a ladder truck, being replaced this year. So this plan actually is right on line with where we need to go. And the committee that spec'd this out put a lot of time and effort planning for this to be here for 20 years. There is a need in our community, and as we grow up and out, we're going to need this vehicle. As the mayor's working hard with commercial businesses, this definitely helps with the firefighting capabilities that we have there. One of the major last structure fires we had just on the south end, we had to bring Spanish Fork in. So with their ladder truck, the time delay, this will open up not only for us, but for our communities surrounding us as well. So it's a huge resource, and we thank you for your efforts in helping us get this.
any other questions?
Trust in you, Chief.
Thank you.
Know that. I know it's a very heavy responsibility.
That it is. That it is.
You know that based
I
on our
do.
interactions.
Mhm.
So I'm trusting your professional expertise.
Well, and it wasn't just me. I want you to know that it was a committee. Those guys, I don't know much about vehicle engines. 3 heavy-duty mechanics that told me which engine, which transmission, those things that need to go into this. So they're actually going to show up for the 7 o'clock meeting because they need to be recognized for their hard work. I have to. I know a guy. Thank you.
Okay, upcoming agenda.
Yeah, we can, you want to go through that? That's great, we can do that.
Let's do it in 2 or 3 minutes. And
I'll do my best, Mayor. Minutes and bills, those are pretty self-explanatory. We'll have a employee recognition for both Mackenzie Bradshaw and Sergeant Mike Wall and his former K-9 bud. That will be in our recognition section. We will have, as we've discussed before, public hearings for both the sanitary sewer impact fee facilities plan and IFA, and the same for parks and recreation trails and open space.
hey, what do we have something we're going to give Mike?
They've got a plaque that they're bringing with them. That's Chief Hirsch will be there for that. Following the sanitary sewer public hearing, we will have an ordinance consideration to ratify. Same scenario with the parks and recreation, both the public hearing and then an ordinance to ratify. And then the last 3 items on the agenda are a resolution for a property purchase for the home that's just on the south side of this block here. That information is in the packet. If you have any questions about that, I'm happy to answer. And then also Jason will be taking a few minutes to talk about a Vistas West plat, Phase 6 plat amendment. They essentially just recorded a plat that was incorrect and didn't record enough right of way for the road. This corrects that, and they're not getting any different lots or any more lots or less lots. It just gives us the right of way that we're supposed to have and was incorrectly recorded. And then the last item will be on the discussion for the ladder truck. But sorry.
Any other questions? All right. I'd like to entertain a motion to adjourn from this work session.
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Moved and second. Councilmember Montoya? Aye. Councilman Adcock?
Aye.
Councilman Sitaway?
Aye.
Councilman Meekum?
Aye.
Councilman Hathaway?
Aye.
Okay, we got a half an hour.